Good morning and welcome to day 28 of the 30-day Speaking to Camera Challenge. I'm Ryan and it's fantastic to have you with me here today. So, today we are getting on to basically a progress update, just in terms of where we are, where we started, what improvement I've seen. So, I was tasked with looking at day one and making comparisons based on all the information and knowledge that I have now, just to kind of get a bit of an idea in terms of what has happened over the last 4 weeks. So to me, watching that there was quite painful, but at the same time, just looking at that progress in terms of how you go and interact with the camera, how you go and handle things, what type of variance you get within your voice as you're playing around with it, really is so fascinating. So that side of it's been amazing. So I made a whole lot of points. Starting off at the beginning, for me, the biggest thing I noticed was my eye contact. At the time, I had my smartphone up and I would constantly just be looking at the screen. Later, when I switched over to a proper lens or my phone at the time, I still wasn't great. It was still like constant looking around like this, having thoughts looking this side here, which was quite distracting, which I think currently, if I'm looking at it, I seem to have got past that entirely, which to me is brilliant. Obviously, that then is transferred over to the way you interact with other people and the eye contact that you have with them and the ability to hold that. And it allows you to have that presence, which was so lacking before and I was completely unaware of it. The second thing I wanted to go on to was the level of monotoneness I'm going to go with. So just a lack of intonation in the voice, just not playing around with that. Everything was quite flat, which I think so many of us just automatically gravitate towards, just in terms of that habitual voice that we've developed, which just doesn't have that variation. And as a male, it's almost one, for myself at least, the way I used to view it was I would want to have my voice deeper than anyone else. Almost that level of bass was something that for me was something that was desirable. Now by contrast, I'm looking at it and saying, well, actually having that bass is great, yes, but also having that variation and ability to go up to those high notes, play around with the voice, and actually make it interesting to listen to. So that's been fascinating to actually see that progression. The other thing is the filler words. If I listen to the first one, the number of ums and ahs was ridiculous. It really was. I seem to have an obsession with the words effectively, fantastic, and engaging, even in day one. The fantastic, I'm realizing, based on my last video that I recorded, that I'm still doing that one. Somehow it seemed to slip through the radar, or slip under the radar rather, and avoided detection. So we're going to have to work on that one going forward. But yeah, we'll see. The other thing was the emotiveness. So again, I think this comes back and works hand in hand with that level of monotoneness. Just when you don't have that variation, it's very difficult to convey the true emotion, exactly what you're feeling. So that's something that I think I'm really working on at the moment. I also saw in one of my previous videos that Oliver commented on was regarding my constant smile. I was constantly smiling through it, even when I was talking about very difficult topics or just going through something. And I don't know if I was just amused with what I was saying at the time or whatever it is, but being able to just play around with those serious aspects and then at the same time, just allow for that little bit of maneuverability and everything, I think is great. I think my general comfort is so much better. I think at the beginning, the idea of speaking on the camera for even 5 minutes was so intimidating. It was one I looked at and was just like, I'm not sure I can actually do this. This course might be an impossibility. Now, by contrast, it's really something that I look forward to. It's something that actually excites me. Most days. There are certain days where you just look at it and you kind of say, well, this is a little bit too hard. There's too much going on. I'm tired. There are always those excuses. And I think being able to just roll with it and say, I can actually get past this is exactly what you need, but almost it takes that repetition and practice to get to that point where even if it's a tough day, you can still record. you can still go through the motions, say it's not going to be the perfect one, but at the same time, it's progress. It's one that you can see that improvement and just say, you know what, that tenacity means a lot. Hey, so that's that. The comfort with silence and pauses, I think, has really, really, really improved. So that side of it's been great. I think I constantly felt that need to fill everything with filler words. And not just that, but I think internally I was always worried about what to say next. And my inner dialogue was constantly screaming that. Like, what are you going to say next? It's just that terror of the conversation might die out and it's going to be your fault really was there and almost breeds that anxiety, and that further makes it that much more difficult to go and talk and really engage with people, which I think is very, 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 very challenging. I also think the willingness to just push through a mistake is great. So, why are you being a pain? Willingness to push through a mistake is great. So, with that, like my previous video, when I spoke about the issues with the lighting or the sound or anything like that, there, had I stopped recording and then walked away and then seen it later at day one, I would have pushed off starting by another week and said, you know what, it's too hard. Now, by contrast, you just say, well, these things happen, move forward, move past it. So that's also been just fantastic. The technical skills, which I think I've developed at the same time, it's just not necessarily skills, but at least understanding. I think I still kind of have a long way to go in all of these, but understanding framing, exactly what position are you having in relation to the camera and what this looks like for the audience. I think I was completely unaware of that in the past. The lighting, the ability to go and play with that in order to create some fantastic effects. The ability to edit videos, have base understanding of sound engineering and how everything plays out. And with regards to all of these, I'm still very much an amateur. It's just, I didn't even understand what I didn't know, which to me has been amazing in terms of that change and that progress. So all of that's been brilliant. So overall, at day 28, there's still obviously 2 days left to go. But my feedback is it's something I would recommend to absolutely anyone. I think that ability to engage with the camera and really just see yourself as you are instead of how you imagine yourself to be is so vital and so lacking. I think with anything, if we go and record our progress and see that change day after day after day and actually look back on it and reflect, we can make such rapid progress. But it requires us actually recording and engaging with something like a camera in order to see that benefit and actually grow. So overall, delighted with the progress. I think it's one of those that has largely changed my life, and I'm curious to see the actual progress and implications for the rest of it. I'm guessing we'll probably do something similar to this on day 30, probably more of an overview in terms of bits and pieces as I go through the weeks. So we'll wait and see, but I don't have that course material yet, so that we will see in a couple of days. But yeah, for the most part, I think that's it. But if you didn't make it this far, thanks so much for watching. Always appreciate it. And I hope you have the most spectacular day. If you are contemplating signing up, I would highly recommend it. I think it has been a hugely beneficial use of my time. I don't think there's very much that would have achieved the same results in the same space of time. So yeah, with that, signing off. Hope you have a good one. Cheers.